What is going on, folks? I am Goat. Welcome back to Warframe. So after shooting this video and then shooting two other videos and then thinking about it, instead of rolling with my original video, which was basically just a simulacrum run and then like a very short burst on the steel path, I really kind of wanted to do like a 5-minute or less jaunt with Nezha. Now, Nezha, like Dante, does not make any fucking sense why in the fuck they nerfed him down to begin with. It just doesn't. Nezha's Divine Spears is a CC ability that spears non-crowd controlled enemy or non-crowd control immune enemies, so fodder, for a certain duration, doing a minimal amount of damage. And then Divine Retribution basically applies like multiplicative status stacking, as far as I can tell, and basically kills everything that can be affected by it. Now, you cannot attack Archons, you cannot attack Acolytes, you cannot attack Eximus with Divine Spears. So it makes this a good room clearing option to give you a really nice little KPM, but it doesn't, like, you still need good weapons in order to really kind of nuke enemies as a whole. Now, initially what they did with Divine Retribution is they just gave us the mod and said, here you go. So all of us that I can tell went with some sort of damage output mod, like Dante's Dark Verse, Hildren's Thermal Sunder. There's a few of them out there. Weird Scythes, I actually saw that was a thing from the Goth. There's a few good damage output functions that you can apply in lieu of Darkverse. Just Darkverse has this OP function of doing slash damage, even though it's line of sight. So the shards have changed, okay? These shards have now gone to, instead of being 5 Tau Forged Azure shards for nothing but armor, just to help stack into warding Halo, the shards are now Energy Max, Energy Max, Energy Max, Ability Strength, and Casting Speed. And the casting speed is quite simply for Darkverse. Depending on the ability that you choose, I would highly recommend Darkverse, but depending on the ability that you choose, depends on if you really need casting speed on here, because Divine Spears pops quickly. Nezha's overall casting speed is very, very good. So, you know, kind of don't need it if you pick up an ability that casts very quickly. Darkverse has got kind of a slow animation. So the build goes as follows, which is this. A very, very different level of what in the hell that you would normally not see with Nezha. And as you can see, the cross polarities here are fucking real, because you don't really need more than 150% ability efficiency anyway. It doesn't hurt, but if you have Arcane Steadfast plus, you know, some Azure shards for energy, it's really not that big of a deal. But like, my normal build is this. It's basically a little bit of duration, a little bit of efficiency, pretty decent amount of strength, and just general health with some armor, and have a nice fucking day. Pretty hard to die this way. This, on the other hand, is a I'm just gonna fucking kill you. And you would think the ability strength would be a problem. It's absolutely fucking not. So what they did is that when they did the Divine Retribution nerf, which was really stupid, we were all modding, as far as I can see from other people's videos, because I've had this exact build sitting here since pre-nerf. This was me screwing around. This was the moment Dante had finished subsuming, because I tried Weird Scythes, I tried Thermal Sunder. I mean, hell, I could go to Helminth and look at all the... I tried a bunch of different, or a few different abilities. I say a bunch. I tried a few different damage output abilities, and Darkverse just really hit home with this. You know, and from what I've seen after the fact, it seems like kind of the general consensus. But that being said, you know, if you only go with rank 10 fleeting expertise for one, you don't completely tank the duration, because Divine Spears will drop down to 6 seconds. That is more than enough time to nuke an area. But initially what they did is they let us just have Divine Retribution at this range, 53.2 meters. It's a good time. It was a really, really good time. Then they put this motherfucker to 50% reduction, no matter what you're modding. It was 50% of your modded build. That's how far Divine Spirits would go. So it was like 26.3 meters or something. It was fucking horrible. Then they finally went back after everybody wigged the fuck out, me included, and did this. Now they kept the status damage, which I said, you know, I mean, we could lose a little bit of the status multiplier. That would be fine. Like, I don't think anybody would have really wigged out so much about that one. But they reduced the base range pre-modding to 14 meters for Divine Spears. So that puts a 280% range build to 39.2 meters. That's way better than 26 and change. It doesn't sound like a lot, but 13 meters especially in an open room or in hallways, that's actually pretty fucking good. The build is very self-explanatory though. I mean, like, there's no health. There is a burp. There's no health, there's no shields, there's no energy. This is basically sell-out ability range and efficiency. And then we're using Grace because Boarding Halo is still a 90% damage reduction. So we're using Arcane Grace coupled with, even though it don't look like very much, 46.9 on the base armor. It could be, Boarding Halo is basically just a castable armor. That's all it is. So it has the same attributes as standard armor, which is why you still most certainly run adaptation, because it's not damage and vulnerability like Revenant. But Arcane Grace to help catch some of the damage that sneaks through Warding Halo plus your armor. And then Arcane Steadfast specifically because that 20% chance of the next 3 abilities not costing energy when you have a no energy build, it's nice. It's very, very nice. So let's go show what it does. Like I said, the previous video was literally just shot in a fucking simulacrum. It just kind of was what it was. It was like, meh. So if we get the room where I can jump on the orb, then I'll just jump on the orb and we'll have energy and bingo bongo. If we don't, then I'll drop a pizza even though I don't need to. And we'll go on about our day. Like, this is only going to need to be a couple of minutes. So we'll drop a pizza just to get it over with.
With true mastery of the Tenno arsenal, will you succeed?
Come on, baby. One more pulse and we are good to go. Cool. We like it. Man, see, the only thing is for me, I've gotten so used to running controlled slide on Nezha that I've gotten out of practice with running with Nezha's passive active. My God. Bro, if I can hit something, that'd be awesome. So, I'm here in this group of enemies, do Divine Spears. They all die. This is Nezha in a nutshell. Find a bunch of fodder, slash problem a couple of times. And the hiccup is when they scatter out, it's a little bit more of a problem. Pre-nerf, it was not a problem. Yeah, they're all dead. Very simple. They just fucking die.
Tenno, prepare for life support.
So this Eximus, he will not be affected, so I'm gonna have to just shoot the shit out of him. And yes, I know the damage output for this is not what it should be because I'm actually running the wrong build. It's actually my murmur build. I don't even care. Like here, see, look, fodder enemies, they die. It doesn't matter. See, and it doesn't matter where they're hit with divine spirits, they will just fucking die. I mean, like, pre-nerf, this was amazeballs. Post-nerf, this sucked fucking asshole. I mean, like, it was sucking corn chunks out of an asshole, okay? Just a fresh, juicy asshole. Post, slight buff. I still think that they should have gone to like 1.25 times damage stat, or 1.25 times status damage, or even 1 times status damage multiplier, and kept the base range of divine spears if they were really trying to make it not a dominant playstyle, which is what their reasoning behind it was, which I still call horseshit because they tried to pull that bullshit with Dante, and Dante had been out for 6 days when they were claiming that. So Dante's Overguard interrupting a few frames with, like, you know, Hunter Adrenaline and things like that with Overguard. Why weren't we worried about that with Frost or Stynex? Right? Didn't care about that. But the brand new frame, we're worried about Overguard problems. So, the Dante nerf, I think, was... I am thoroughly confused about the Dante nerf because, like, the math ain't mad enough. The math is not adding up. You know, it's just not mathing. You can't prove dominance in playstyle for a frame that's been out for 6 days because the nerf hit 8 days after the frame came out. They were talking about it in the dev short 6 days after the frame came out. So you can't say that the frame is overly dominant because everybody's playing it. That doesn't really say a whole lot. That just means it is good. But you need time for that quantifying data, right? And, you know, gutting down Tragedy to being line of sight, even though they have since fixed, because I'm shooting this on the 20th, so they've since fixed Dante blocking his own attacks now, which is good. So you got a little bit more love, but still Darkverse being line of sight is dumb. The Overguard knockdown is dumb. It's just completely unnecessary what they did to Dante. It's like, it's one of those, Kalervo came out absolutely powerful as hell. Very, in my opinion, a better frame than Dante. But just much more straightforward, much easy, a lot of damage output possibilities, lots of different build types you can do with him, and still be very, very powerful. Dante can be very, very powerful, but has a lot more setup to Dante. So, you know, Kalervo had problems when he came out with his Overguard just basically being shattered, you know, from one single Eximus and dying. And then they fixed that problem by allowing you to stack and build up to a certain cap. That was great. Based on your ability strength. That was great. They applied that over to Dante, but all of a sudden when Dante, because the Overguard wasn't breaking but regenning, then it became a problem for anybody else. Frost was giving groups, you know, a bunch of Overguard. Stynex giving squads a whole bunch of Overguard. And nothing was done about it for that particular problem. But when Dante released, apparently that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And instead of just reworking the Overguard problem for those frames that were having that issue, we just got the shit out of that frame. And oh, by the way, Nezha is really powerful, so let's just chop his nuts off and castrate him too. Makes no fucking sense. I think the way that they've handled Nezha, cool. This works. This is much better than what it was. It still sucks. Like, it absolutely works. Like, basically cast 2 casts of Darkverse, everything near you fucking dies. But when I throw that many mods at ability range, I have the expectation that that ability range is going to be really fucking far. Not inside of 40 fucking meters. When the initial was like 59 meters or 53 meters or some bullshit like that, and you cut my nuts off down to 39 when I'm at every fucking range mod in the game, not cool. But I'll take it over what it was. But it is in a bitter malcontent in doing so, because I think it was not done properly. So as of this point, I still don't think Dante is, like, I still play Dante. Dante's very playable, but he's just kind of a mid-tier frame now. Like, he has the potential to be a really, really cool damage output frame, but everything literally has to be unobstructed and standing in front of you. You know, the line of sight stuff is still very inconsistent, and it's really stupid. And this, the range being cut down when you're modding fully for range, just feels like you're getting ripped off when you do it. So I don't use the build. I've got this cool ass build and I don't use it. So thanks DE for that. Appreciate you. Thanks DE for my time of fucking around with Dante and finding out what works for me. And yes, I'll still fucking play him, but it's really more like if I'm doing exterminates or if I'm just buffing a squad with overguard. That's about all it is. So I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer about this. I'm not trying to be shitty about this in any way, because I found Dante to be a very successful release frame. But instead of fixing the problem at hand, they just attacked and gutted an augment and a frame, and then attacked line of sight in general across the board on frames. So frames like Caliban. Really? They actually applied a hard line of sight on Caliban. Like, what? You know, the sentient wrath. They actually applied a line of sight on that. Like, what? It's whatever. It's the way the DE is approaching their nerfs right now. I tell you what, I will put a link to a YouTube short, okay, to Pirate Software in my comment down below. I highly recommend that you check out this link in my comment. And there's a big reason why, because this is a game developer that goes by the name of Thor, but this is a game developer that talks about how you fix a meta in a game, okay? And what he says is how I personally feel every MMO should approach a game, not this attack a fucking game with a sledgehammer and figure it the fuck out afterward once you've pissed everybody off. So just hear me out on that. And folks, I want to thank you very much for watching. As always, we'll catch you in the next one. All right.